most played this season. And we see, again, this Lee Sin first pick coming out. Flexible, really strong in the early game. Actually holds up well in the late game, which is not how he used to be previously, thanks to all these great bruiser items. And now it's over to RA to answer, you know. See what they can sort of pick up to try and offer some early pressure congestion. And Renekton makes a lot of sense in that regard. It's an answer that we saw consistently in the last series from Ultra Prime, was prioritizing that Renekton in the top lane.
And is something that can work very well should you want to go with a AP jungler. Of course, the Nidalee Renekton used to be the Elise Renekton when Elise was a champion in the game. Sadly, she has been nerfed into the absolute ground and will not be seeing the light of day for a very... Exactly, who's that? But now it's the RA, and this is what I wanted to see if they would go towards. They are opting to take the LeBlanc, so I would imagine we will see BLG look to pick up the Sylas and combo that with the Lee Sin.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised, and LeBlanc can have the early pressure in the matchup. Obviously, against melee champions, it's really hard because, you know, she can distortion forward, set up the chains, and you kind of have to be in range of her at all times to, like, contest the wave. So there is that potential concern with the Sylas, but obviously scales very well. For now, though, BLG will just pick up that Ezreal. Pretty safe pick, and I guess with the Aphelios and the Calista down, maybe they feel a bit safe to lean into this one. On 11-13, obviously with Divine Thunder nerf for range champions, it's not quite as high priority as it used to be, but still a lot of players in the league, a lot of confidence on it, and I think aiming is definitely one of those.
I mean, you think of some of the highlight clips from LPL Ezreals, and aiming is 3 or 4 of them in his own right in the top 10. The one that sticks out to me was how he played against, I can't remember exactly who it was, but he was on the Ezreal, jumps on the back of the Baron pit, able to just throw out Mystic Shot, goes in 2v4, and still comes out with the quadra-kills. So really nicely done. And now we're going to see RA deviate a little bit from the plot. They're going to go to an old, tried, and tested method of the Nidalee and the Renekton comboing in the jungle and a solo lane.
And honestly, I actually kind of like this because, you know, you have an Ezreal on the side of BLG. It's not the highest pressure laner, limited sort of pressure you can apply in that regard on the bot side of the map. And now RA have a really strong top side that they can play towards. Both solo laners have CC they can set up for. They'll essentially guarantee that the spear from Leyan can land. And then once that's the case, it's like the target's dead. It's very difficult to survive, you know, Renekton all along CCing you into a Nidalee spear. So it gives you that really strong side of the map to play for. And as long as your bot lane can remain safe and scale up, you should be in a good spot. Varus is going to get banned away, something like Pressure Ezreal. Ziggs might be the second ban from BLG as well. I feel like that would really allow iBoy to stay safe. But then again, now that I think about it, a bit too much AP on the side of Rare Adam, so I guess they probably will have to pick up an AD carry rather than a mage here.
Yeah, they do need some kind of consistent DPS because you've got a lot of burst right now, but not a lot of long team fight damage available to you. So BLG, maybe they go with something slightly different. We've seen the Ashe slowly making her way into the system of the meta right now, and BLG, they're taking their time with it. They're not concerned with what they want to go for, and actually they're going to ban away the Nautilus. So trying to really put the pressure on this bot side. Nautilus, one of Hong's best champions by far, and something that we really do know he's comfortable with.
Yeah, now I want to see the AD carry pick up here, leave the support for the counter pick. Again, you know, the options are things like, you know, the Jinx, the Ashe, I guess, things that are available. Looks like they might prioritize the Leona instead. I guess it is such a high priority that CC lockdown valuable and means that the Nidalee can really play through bot as well. I'm not the biggest fan of picking the blind though. I feel like BLG may be able to answer it in that regard. But now though, we see, I think Mundo makes a lot of sense. You know, that stun that comes out from Cube, you can obviously just avoid it with your passive, makes it very difficult for you to take down as a target. And then the bot lane Braum, you know, I really like this as a counter pick for Leona. I think as well, everyone on your team is auto-attacking. It is going to be able to block those Nidalee spears. It is going to make RA really have a difficult time if it gets to those later game team fights and they don't have an advantage. And BLG, happy to scale into those with this composition.
It's exactly, yeah. Braum is such a great pick into a team that just wants to be in your face. You look at all of these picks, LeBlanc, Nidalee, Leona, Renekton, all of them want to be jumping on top of you onto your backline. You lock in a Kai'Sa with that, maybe not the best to go full dive, considering you have so much sustain and survivability on BLG. I would like the Vayne, and I think that's something that iBoy has shown again, very proficient in, very happy to take into any matchup, and with the tanks that they have on the side of BLG, should do very, very well in the later game team fights.
Yeah, I mean, they decided to leave the AD carry to last, and honestly, you know, I was kind of critical of picking Leona early because I left the Braum kind of pick open, but I kind of feel like the Vayne was a good pickup. You know, it's good in the Ezreal. You can easily tumble away from his Mystic shots. He's not able to pressure you too hard in lane. That's Ezreal's weakest point, which means sort of iBoy has kind of a free laning phase to a degree. And when it comes to the later stages, you can actually shred through the Mundo. One of the big problems with a lot of AD carries in this patch, a lot of hyper carries, if you're up against something like a Mundo, he's going to build Anathema's Chains. He's going to use it on you. Your damage is going to be really shredded massively. With Vayne, that's not nearly as much of an issue because your Silver Bolts are just going to ignore that 30% reduction. And as a result, you can still deliver as a late game carry. For me, this is that insurance that Rare Adam needed, you know, on the bot side of the map. They have early pressure in spades on the top side, but they needed something that they could go, okay, you know, it's 20 minutes and the game isn't over. We're starting to fall off. What do we have? And the answer is iBoy on Vayne.
We'll see if that answer is enough or if the BLG will be slamming them down to summer school for the rest of the year as we jump into Champ Select, or excuse me, onto the Rift for Game 1 after Champ Select. And big moment for both of these squads. Like we said, 7-4 for RA, 7-5 for BLG. This is a massive swing if you are able to get the win off of either of these teams. And playoffs are looming. We talk about it so much now. It's 2.5 weeks until the end of the split, and you only have a handful of games left to make your mark.
Yeah, and especially when you're playing a team so close to you in the standings, it has more value, right? If you're playing a team who's far higher than you or far lower, you're not really, like, yes, you're improving your score, and that's great, but you're not drastically changing, like, your main competition. But here, as you said, it's a massive swing potential. You not only take a win yourself, you push the other team down, helps to create that gap in the standings and give yourself an advantage.
Here we are, 1-1. Game 1 of this best of 3. And already we're seeing Hong just kind of moving in with iBoy to get a little bit of damage onto ppgod. Has been a little bit of a sore spot here for BLG in recency, or in terms of the summer split. Hasn't really seen the same heights as we had him in for 2020, but definitely someone who can improve, who has got the ceiling to get there. And actually curious as well, we can see on the bot side, aiming going with the tier very early, but also a longsword for iBoy. So recognizing that there isn't a mad amount of kill pressure on him early.
Yeah, I think as well that, like, the value of the longsword is it helps really mitigate any poke that comes through. We are actually going to see there was a bit of an earlier play. Oh, okay. So big thing here is that aiming started his arcane shift. So any pressure, as minor as it is, that we're potentially going to see from this Ezreal in the early levels, completely obliterated now. And again, like, having the arcane shift means you didn't have the pin flash there, but it's still not good. And now it just kind of means iBoy, again, we said already he's going to have pretty free pressure in this lane. It's going to be even more so now, already chunking out ppgod here.
Yeah, you take the arcane shift, it does give you a little less to work with. Very hard to get that poke down, and of course uses a lot of mana as well. Very important to recognize that as well, as we see now pushing down at that bot side. We have priority pretty much all 3 lanes here from Rare Adam, which is going to give a lot of time to Leyan to farm up his jungle. Nidalee's still an exceptional farmer, as we see actually a little bit of a different pathing here from WeiWei. Went from red Raptors straight onto blue, so we'll hit his level 3, but we'll be on the top side much earlier than the Nidalee will be.
Actually,
We should be fine.
iBoy's just not taking tower hits here. That was so well played, honestly.
Oh my god, I just didn't even notice it, like the level 2, and then he just kited out the tower aggro so perfectly.
And he kept autoing out of range, autoing out of range. Didn't take a single tower hit, and he got like 3 autos in. Rare Adam's bot lane is honestly smurfing here. And the AD diff right now is pretty monumental. It's a 13 CS lead, and we saw, I mean, it's only the assist for iBoy, but still picking that up this early, a massive advantage. And potentially just going to be able to pick up tier 2 boots here if he wants. Does actually just go for the tier 1 boots instead. Actually wouldn't actually have that much money, obviously, you know. The killed gives a lot, but needs a fair bit more. But even so, the extra movement speed allowing you to roam, impact the map more. And sort of going back to the pathing you talked about from the Lee Sin, I actually really like it. The reason is, 1, it's a little bit unpredictable. A lot of damage. And 2, it allows you to dodge Leyan, who I think Zeka needs to dodge Leyan in the next second, potentially. Although he is just out of vision there, so we'll be safe. But essentially, because he went from red to blue, then looped back round, he's able to be at this bot scuttle away from Leyan. Because obviously, if he was on the top side, he wouldn't be able to contest it. And this is super important in this game, because I can't emphasize enough how tough it is playing jungle with 3 losing prio lanes, right? And it essentially means if Leyan ever wants to invade, WeiWei is going to be vulnerable, and his laners aren't going to be able to move in time to assist him. So you could very much see this Nidalee go unchecked, and I think the fact that Rare Adam's got into a situation where they have this triple prio is pretty worrying for BLG. It really kind of takes the early game out of their hands.
I suppose the one little silver lining here for BLG's bot lane is that ppgod used no summoners, recognized that the exhaust and the flash were going to do nothing for him. He wasn't getting any tower aggro down and just kept them both. Whereas on the other side, Hong did use the ignite, did use the flash as well. So definitely a little more vulnerable, shall we say. But you're totally fine with that early trade if you're on the side of Rare Atom, as we got themselves about nearly 1,000 gold. And we're not even 5 minutes in yet. And like you said, it's just the early prio in every single lane. BLG kind of banking on the fact that they can survive this for the first 15-20 minutes, and then when they hit the 1 to 2 items, they can come in and be a lot stronger. Oh, as we say that, they're going to go straight away. TP's coming in, the exhaust did go down. They're trying to fully commit to this one. It's going to be Zeka and FoFo jumping in, but Zeka's a little bit on his own. The Xenoblade connects, and that's enough to bring him all the way down. That's the second kill for Hong as he looks into his rest of his team and goes, look at me, I am the carry now.
It's just like the Ezreal is just kind of useless in these AD skirmishes, and it's just crazy to me the fact that Rare Adam bring 3 players to a 4-man fight, get a kill, and get away with it, you know? Leon's not even there. He's on the other side of the map, invading the enemy jungle, stealing away camps. This is an absolute disaster for the side of BLG. It's quickly slipping out of control, and I feel like the gambit where they wanted to sort of survive the early games is not paying off so far.
Really isn't. It's unfortunate for the side of BLG that both kills have gone over to Hong as we have a look at this one here. And it's just a really good disengaging move there from iBoy. Just recognizing it's like, look, as long as I don't get auto-attacked, there's no way they can CC me down.
I think you can see how scared Eamon is, the minions sort of stacking damage upon him. And it's a very good reaction from Braum to instantly jump on top of Sylas and shut him down. And it just feels like the BLG just can't really take these early skirmishes. In this current meta, what we've seen where early skirmishing has such a high priority, early objective securing is so valuable, it just feels like BLG aren't able to opt into really many of these. You know, we see the next scuttle picked up by Leyan. He's going to head to the bottom side of the map. Should just be able to contest here, but I think the Raptor's already been taken by WeiWei. Leyan just a little bit too late for those ones, but they can threaten this mid lane dive. Zeka level 5. FoFo just needs to land a chains and he is guaranteed dead.
Yeah, and there's a good spear over the back end as well, but Zeka does hit level 6, so you need to respect that. Leyan's still hovering around, seeing if he can go for something. Actually just going to go and take away the red buff. As we can see now, WeiWei pops down a ward, recognizes that there are 2 people here trying to take away his buff. He goes in, actually smites it away, has enough distance on the smite. Nicely done by WeiWei, doesn't even lose a camp.
Yeah, I mean, Leyan not having the smite available also means he's not able to take that, and the Raptors do respawn now. So Leyan trying to contest these, but honestly, WeiWei did a pretty good job. I have to credit him. You're kind of in a doomed situation, and he's doing his best to kind of mitigate the pressure. This is kind of what I talked about. The lack of prio in lanes means that Rare Adam are always going to have that assistance sooner, so they can go for these aggressive plays. But I think WeiWei's been pretty smart in the way he's responded to it, smiting away that red buff, be able to secure the mini chickens, but now he's potentially caught out.
Oh, he has to safeguard over. FoFo double distorts in, does have the chains, but not able to land it just yet. As you can see now, Leyan still pushing, still hunting, lands down on the Q, but not quite in range to get the strike down. Zeka trying to see if he can do something with it, but there's just no prio for him. He has to pick up this wave in mid.
Yeah, Leyan had flash though. I think he got a flash for the kill there. Maybe he was a bit concerned about overcommitting and Zeka firing back, but I think flash W would have for sure got him in range of WeiWei and killed him. But either way, you know, playing a bit more reserved and instead opting just to take away that blue buff and then the Herald. But this is really the pressure that you're able to apply. This is the value of the Nidalee pick. It's why it's so important to have those prior lanes, because when no one can come to help WeiWei, he's just kind of in a rough spot, you know. He did secure his red buff, but it's down and unavailable, as are his Raptors. So now he's like considering the option of invading on the bot side of the map. We'll see if Rare Adam are able to do anything about this to defend this blue buff.
I don't think there's going to be a lot they can do. You'll see Hong just kind of hovering around, seeing if they can just get this blue buff away. Xenoblade not enough to kill it off, so that's going to be WeiWei finally hitting level 6, finally has his ultimate available to him. He is only about 300 gold behind, but it is that XP. It's about a full level's difference between the Lee Sin and the Nidalee as we kind of come back into this game, and this is just RA playing such a fantastically immaculate early game. Leyan understanding that this Nidalee has its power right now and can do so much to just distort everything that BLG want to do.
And the big thing is when you're going for invades like these, you know the camp spawn timers, right? 215 per camp. You can make a mental note. A lot of teams at the pro level even actually time jungle camps in chat. You know, obviously we talk a lot about timing summoner spells, but they will actively put down those timers for when they're going to respawn the minor camps. And as a result, Leon can just chain them together, just find a window for a gank here, and is able to pick it off as well. So, you know, he's able to constantly invade on these spawn timers, pick up the camps, and then here just easily able to translate it into a gank without losing any steam at all. And with the Herald, they might actually look for the first tower. Speaking of iBoy, taking a lot of damage there.
Taking a lot of damage, which means this dragon should be able to be taken here by BLG. They've got Prio in bot. They know that Leyan is in top side, so they're going to be able to start this one up. And did cost aiming his cleanse, but was able to get himself a nice advantage in this bot side in terms of priority, and that means that BLG are not 100% falling behind, but they are still 5,000 gold out of nowhere, out of pocket, and RA are just running away with this early game.
I mean, you look at the top diff, you look at the jungle diff, it's substantial. Getting that tower so early at 10 minutes, pretty wild. And you know, it means now, engage coming in.
Oh, Hong flash for that, didn't land the solar flare, and with the unbreakable with the stand behind me, not really a lot you can do. So a lot invested there from the side of RA's bot lane. They don't really get any purchase from it. They did have Leyan in tow, so we're waiting to see if they could make that one work. As we can see now, FoFo and Zeka just trading in this mid lane, definitely in favor of FoFo. Should be able to pick up this tower plate, no problem whatsoever. And BLG, they're running out of space right now. They're running out of time because it's just running away with RA. They're just pushing forward, constantly being a nuisance into the side of BLG. And now Leyan gonna find WeiWei. They will both land themselves their Qs, but it is gonna be WeiWei backing himself up. He does have ppgod in tow just before the Nidalee can pounce.
Yeah, this kind of feels like for BLG, it's like there's 3 houses on fire, and WeiWei's armed with a watering can trying to run between them, but he just can't really do anything, in honesty. It's like the amount of pressure coming out across the board, and I think a lot of this comes to the draft. I feel like RA set up themselves up really well. You pick a Nidalee in the context of this situation, and it's hard not to see how you'd find the advantages. It's, you know, we saw this Sylas and this LeBlanc, and we thought about the contestation, the priority. We see a lot of times things like the Sandra picked into LeBlanc, but Sylas just has been struggling. It's a rough matchup. You are going to get bullied out early, and similar with top lane, similar with this bot lane. It's just been across the board. RA taking these massive advantages. Now 6,000 gold ahead. That's so substantial at this point of the game. You know, we're starting to see items completed. Leyan got the Night Harvester, and it's just such a power gap. It's really hard to overcome.
It's so difficult, and you're looking at all the CS leads, all the CS deficits as BiuBiu tries to steal away the Gromp. Not going to be able to get the timing on that just right, but the CS deficits in every single lane, it's 10, 20, 30, it doesn't matter. And Leyan just owns 90% of this jungle. Like, that's including the side of WeiWei's. WeiWei's just going to be such a poor man, and we talk about Lee Sin having great priority. This is your first picked champion. This is the thing you put such massive priority on, and it is just being out-jungled completely, as we see a flash there to dodge away from the spear, but now FoFo might be in a little bit of trouble. They flash forward onto him, he flashes away, does have the distort to go away from that one, as WeiWei cannot get behind him and cannot get the kick. Leyan picks up that one, and oh, it's a disaster.
Yeah, BLG try and find a window, but are punished massively. FoFo with the fancy footwork to dodge away from everything there, and now I'm just going to continue applying pressure. They have a minute before those plates are down. They're not going to be able to find anything more mid, but I mean, we've seen 3 taken in the bot lane, 5 top, 1 mid. It's a massive amount of gold, and this is why you're seeing this substantial gold lead. And again, Leyan, I swear, I don't think I've seen WeiWei get a single camp from his top side in the past 5 minutes at least. It's just been Leyan chaining together the Gromp, the Wolves, and these blue buffs endlessly. And now again, you know, talking about the plates and the bot side, iBoy gonna be able to pick up another one there. We'll take a tower hit for his trouble, but has the shield bow, so he should just be able to sustain back up if he wants to stay around. But we'll get the replay. FoFo goes in, lands the first chain. A nice flash timing from Zeka keeps him alive because his spear doesn't connect, and then they go in for him. But unfortunately, distortion up soon enough to get away from WeiWei, and then able to jump back, bait him under tower. The kick tries to hit Leyan into FoFo, but just not able to connect in time.
It's just so good from Rare Atom. They are 6,500 gold ahead. They are swimming in this game, whereas BLG are drowning. They are struggling to keep up pace, and you're looking at it across the board. You have a Divine Sunderer versus Luden's Tempest, Immortal Shield Bow, Night Harvester, Gore Drinker. There's just too much gold available to the side of RA for really any of this to be other than perfect for them, and you have such great tools to deal with what BLG have in the late game as well. You have good flanking opportunities. You have great DPS to burn down this Mundo and great burst to kill off the backline.
Yeah, and we just saw at the bottom of the screen the gold income from the plate. 1,600 for Rare Atom overall. Pretty substantial, and they look to keep continuing this pressure. You can see wherever Leyan leans, it has to be respected. Aiming has to just back off consistently. Almost a 7,000 gold lead at 15 minutes. It's, you know, I feel like we set this one up to be close, Penguin, and it's not so far at all. It's just BLG being stomped.
If anything, like we set it up to be close, but also we set it up to be BLG favored. We were talking as if, like, you know, oh well, yeah, the way matches have been going, the way everyone's results have happened, it feels like BLG should be able to come out on top of this. But no, RA are just clapping them right now.
RA lost to Rogue Warriors, you know? I don't think I need to emphasize that anymore. But this is the kind of play we saw from them early in the split when they were looking good, when they were looking like they were going to be in top 3 for the end of the split. RA were playing like this, and, you know, I love the draft that came out. I think it has a lot of strengths to it, and they're clearly playing to them. But the real question for BLG is they kind of fumbled things, and now they're in this desperate hole. They need to find a way to stall the game out. And then, you know, windows back in, find numbers advantage, because in a 5v5, you just lose.
You straight up lose. I think that BLG recognized that as well. They were trying to contest around the Rift Herald, but they just do not have the resources right now, and it's getting harder and harder for them to get themselves into this game. They just haven't really gotten up and gone. They haven't really set themselves up for any real success, and with the priority that you have in every single lane, it means that these neutral objectives are just not contestable. They're just something you cannot go through. As we hit the 16.5-minute mark, Rift Herald will go over to Rare Atom. They still have themselves a 7,000 gold lead, nearly 8,000, and or nearly 7,500. And with the Rift Herald, they can look to push up any waves they like.
And the thing is, as well, is I feel like iBoy can just stat check when it gets later in the game. You know, he's going to have the survivability for Shield Bow, can build some more defensives, and then unless you're landing everything and every bit of CC, he's just going to be able to sustain through a lot of the damage from BLG and just shred everything in front of him when they're this far behind. So looking dire, and I think BLG, it's kind of damage control. It's looking for those numbers advantages, but mostly just, you know, putting things on a simmer and hoping it cools down quickly.
I mean, if we look at the vision scores, is that, you know, in a moment when they come back up, is that you have a 45 vision control score for Leyan versus 19 or 20 for WeiWei. It's just the difference in resources. Vision is a resource. Not even 19 or 20, it's 17. So you're just almost 3 times the amount of vision control that you've had compared to BLG's jungler, and that's also reflected in the supports as well. 25 to 44. It's just better and more cohesive from the side of RA. They're getting the information, they're getting out onto the map, and they're clearing away BLG's vision as well, so that it's easier for them to be able to make plays.
Yeah, and this is where the value to Leona is, being able to pair up with Leyan, and it's like, you know, top lane, we have the stun for Renekton, mid lane we get the chains for LeBlanc, support, we have the stun for the Leona. Everyone has a way of setting up Leyan so he can easily land those spears and find the kill. And it means no matter where he is on the map, if he's paired up with someone, he's a threat. And we've kind of seen that consistently. BLG have to respect it. Pressure being applied at this mid lane tower, and I think they're looking for the rotate over. They can just pick up this tier 2 now, and if FoFo gets all this gold, it's going to look even more rough.
Well, there's going to be a flash and a solar flare used to defensive for Hong as they jump now over to the buff, and Leyan might be in a little bit of trouble. You're strong, but you still got to respect the one-item spikes coming out from BLG. They will take the tower, they won't lose anything, but there is still life in BLG, and RA just got a reminder that they have to respect them.
Yeah, and I think, you know, fighting in that choke point in the jungle without full backup, obviously not ideal.
Oh, that was so nicely done. They will not be able to kill off iBoy just yet. He flashes, he heals, he keeps himself alive, but Hong will die to the Mundo. Wei goes back in, but he will drop to iBoy with the Immortal Shield Bow. He's just sustaining so much. Zeka in a 1v2 will get the Everfrost onto 2, but where is he gonna go? And you're just too far behind BLG. The playmaking time is gone. You just cannot sustain in these fights.
Yeah, I mean, they managed to find that initial pick, and it was a really nice kick coming out from WeiWei. But unfortunately, in the extended play, they lose out in kills. They lost that tier 2 top, which gave a load of gold to FoFo. They lose the tier 1 mid thanks to the Herald. It's just, despite like this window being found, which was positive, they're shut down so hard in return. 9,000 gold lead at 19 minutes from Rare Adam. I don't know how to describe it other than them feeling pretty doomed.
It does feel. Let's have a look at the replay, because this is great. And if they're at like maybe 3,000, hell, even maybe 4,000 gold deficit, this play works. But you're just too far behind.
Yeah, I mean, it was so clean, given iBoy very little reaction time to be able to do anything about this. Couldn't flash away. But the problem is, you know, they go in, iBoy very quickly finishes off the Lee Sin, and then you see Zeka moving to assist, and Cube is so strong. Leyan just so strong and lands that spear to finish off the kill. So despite, you know, and that's the thing you think about it, right? iBoy, a little bit overextended, walking up the tower like that. WeiWei finds a flawless kick, and that was a losing play, right? That was kind of the window that BLG are looking for, and it was a losing play. And I think that shows how rough things are. Even when you find a play that on paper, you're like, this is good. It's like you're almost 10,000 gold behind. It doesn't matter how good the play is. The enemy team would slap you with their wallets.
That's literally it. That's the privilege you garner when you have so much gold in your team that even in a bad position, even in a bad play, or even an opportunistic play from BLG, it's just not enough to bring you back into this. And now with Dragon stacking in favor of RA, it's a Mountain Soul, so they're going to become harder and harder to kill off. This Mountain Soul going to do so much work to just keep them alive. You're not going to be able to kill off iBoy or FoFo as quickly. You're not going to be able to burst them down as effectively. You're going to have to just try and survive and get yourself into a position that the gold leads and the dragons don't make any difference, but that's about 25 minutes away.
Yeah, and the thing is, we haven't seen Rare Adam really slow down. I think maybe if you can find a pick on some of the squishier members of the team, that's maybe your window in, again, find a numbers advantage, but it just feels like the momentum's been really consistent from Rare Adam. They're constantly finding these scenarios where they're the ones being aggressive, and it's rough. It's rough, is all I can really say. We can see the mid-jungle AD carry grouping of Rare Adam starting to push forward and contest this bot side jungle. And at this point, you know, you see them pushing into your jungle, you're like, okay, it's your jungle. You can have it. You're welcome to it. WeiWei, just like, nah, I'm out. Takes a spear, takes a more poke.
Well, they will not get CC'd down as BiuBiu forced to use his ultimate to stay alive, as it's just poke after poke after poke. And this is old school Nidalee stuff. This is old school style of how this champion works, where you're just throwing out spears. You don't need to engage. You don't need to fully commit. You just need to know that you're just landing the one spear. As I say that though, Leyan forced to go golden, has got his Zhonya's, but they are going to jump on top of him. That's a shutdown. That's a really good fight right now. That's 2 kills here. And with Cube now in the middle of this team, can he survive with the Gordrig and the Sterax? It's very, very difficult. He has to flash, and BLG find themselves an opportunity.
Yeah, they found a shutdown on Leon, and I think RA just got a little bit overconfident there. Didn't respect the CC potential, and that's the thing with the Nidalee is you get up close, you have the Zhonya's to buy you time, but things like the Braum will be able to lock you down and cause issue. A good punish. You can see how that one plays out. Leon maybe just stepping up a bit too far here. ppgod coming to that flash slow so that the kick can come in, and at this position, it's really well synergized. The Braum ult, the Ezreal ult at the same time, and, you know, iBoy's not there. And you can't see FoFo really finding a way in on that fight, so they do have to disengage. Again, it's still an 8,000 gold lead, but it's BLG showing there's some life in them, finding that numbers advantage on the play.
And this is the big thing as well, is that this is one of the big issues that RA have had, is the overconfidence or the overzealousness to go for stuff where they feel like they can 1v5, and it looks like a bit of a solo queue blunder more than anything else. Like, every team in the LPL is a coordinated professional team. Be it the last place V5 or the first place EDG, you need to respect them, because if you do not, they will punish you. And 2 kills onto Ezreal for aiming, that's a really good win condition right now. He's equaled up the items. The Baron has been spawned. There's no vision whatsoever, and honestly, I don't even think that BLG know this is going on.
Yeah, I love this play. You know, you feel like the momentum slowed down. Let's just go for the Baron. BLG, with so many towers down, has such a long distance to traverse to get to the Baron. And by the time they've sort of realized, it's gone.
It's absolutely gone. And you know who else is? ppgod. He goes to live with the angels, of which he watches over. And this is just RA taking a breath, realizing that they didn't need to go for too many fights, and they're back up to 10k gold.
Yep, back up and in position with the Baron to apply even more pressure at this point. Sieging, kind of traditionally hard for this composition, where there's no one who really can just sort of walk up and hit the tower thanks to the limited range. But with the Baron, far easier, and can apply that poke from the Nidalee. And also the LeBlanc as well is pretty good at just like dashing in, landing a quick combo, and even if you don't kill a target, often enough to chunk them out.
Well, aiming is pretty much the only one on the side of BLG that has any semblance of damage. You've got some pretty decent tank stats from BiuBiu. Got the Frostfire Gauntlet and, of course, on the Spirit Visage. But this Sylas is very much struggling to pick up those items. Definitely something they need to try and work towards if they want to try and get back into this game. And with the Dragon spawning, I feel like BLG will just leave that one up, let Rare Adam take that one, try waste as much time as they can from this Baron buff, and just survive for as long as possible.
Yeah, I mean, often we talk about how the third dragon for a team is the one you want to contest. You don't get that liberty in this game. You're not, the gold lead is too far away. Your lanes are too heavily pushed in thanks to Baron. You just have to let it go and hopefully play for the soul. Do you see Zeka applying some pressure on the top side, at least doing something across the map to get some of that standing gold? But it is going to mean that their tier 2 bot is sacrificed in return. And right now, looking at iBoy's items, completed that Wit's End, so he's actually pretty bulky. There's a lot of magic damage on BLG from Zeka, BiuBiu, and even aiming does a decent amount. So he's got quite a bit of survivability, although has to burn the ult there, just from the engage attempt from WeiWei.
Yeah, this is where the game starts to get a little bit funky now for the side of RA, is that you mentioned their low range. You mentioned how it's very difficult for them to find these turrets, to siege them down, and this is exactly what we're seeing right now. There's good engage possibility. There's good ways for the side of BLG to make this one work. BiuBiu is now defending against Cube, as Cube still has the dominance available to him. Ultimate been popped there by BiuBiu, so he's going to sustain up nice and healthily. FoFo goes over the wall to see if he can find anyone just straggling off a little bit, and with 5 members down this bot side, RA just trying to brute force this tower that's already been taken down to about a third.
Yeah, I mean, the poke keeps coming through. You can see there FoFo and Leyan able to apply a fair amount. It just makes things so difficult. As long as he can protect his cannon minion for the time being, he'll keep chunking away at the tower. FoFo once more looking, but at the point where Leyan's kind of out of mana, so may end up meaning the end of this push. Dragon has spawned as well for them to move to when they want. It looks like they want to get the most out of this Baron, but if they're confident with this next wave, they can take it, and they should be able to.
Yeah, we have some resets coming in for ppgod, and of course for aiming to get back up his mana. The inhibitor turret falls. They may go for the inhibitor. Baron buff despawning after 2 more seconds. That's now gone. The inhibitor's still alive, just about. Glacial Fissure and the stolen Solar Flare. Oh, it's perfect from BLG, but look at iBoy and FoFo. They're still on the backside as they look to try and get this one going. Q is just a massive crocodile as he burns through these health bars. FoFo goes in. Zeka trying to find him out, aiming an iBoy, but iBoy comes out the better, and there's nothing you can do now, BLG. You have to try and just keep yourself alive. The inhibitor has fallen down, and now RA look to try and end.
And it's only the solo lane that's trying to defend, and there's too much power from RA. They're going to be able to take BiuBiu out, maybe? They get him, iBoy finishes him off.
And iBoy gets himself that kill. That's enough damage there from the Vayne. You can just do so much true damage to the Gwynzus. And of course, the Silver Bullet proccing. You still have minions available. The Nexus turrets have fallen down. It's Zeka versus the world. WeiWei trying to come in on top of this. The Stolen Dominus. They haven't got enough damage to kill off the carries. And RA take the first game.
And honestly, kind of a flip of the expectations on that one. Based on recent form, this was going to look like favored to BLG. It wasn't enough to say it was going to be like a stomp or anything, but you know, our feelings coming into this was that BLG should be the team with the advantage, you know?
Yep.
However, this was not Rare Adam having an advantage. This was Rare Adam just plain stomping BLG, and I think the question started in the draft. You know, triple lanes losing prior with the Nidalee. It's a bad time, right? The Nidalee is just going to be able to take over the game. That's what we saw. So I definitely think we can look at draft as something that needs to be changed substantially, re-established, because I think WeiWei did the best he could in the situation, but just couldn't do much. But even outside of the draft, the play from Rare Adam was excellent. And honestly, it's a breath of fresh air. We even said, you know, sort of at the start of the show, we had questions for them. We were sort of asking for the side, like, is this Rare Adam sort of losing steam? And I think we can say now with the form in this game, if they continue this for the series, they are back in the form we initially expected from them for the start of the split.
And honestly, it all started just with the bot lane able to get that first little bit of an advantage. Starting off with your Arcane Shift rather than your Mystic Shot as Ezreal is just so detrimental. That meant iBoy and Hong were never in any danger. There was never a risk for going aggressive or a risk for going a bit too far forward. And then Leyan used the priority he had created by WeiWei having to basically babysit bot to just create such a difference. He had more than double the damage of WeiWei. WeiWei on this priority pick, Lee Sin, just couldn't do anything.
And honestly, that dive bot lane, the level 2 dive when iBoy got like 3-4 auto attacks off without taking a single tower hit, so clean, just absolute next level. And that's the thing is, you know, we can criticize the draft all we want, but the play as well. You talked about the priority pick, you talked about the fact that this was BLG coming in feeling confident and just completely outpaced in terms of every aspect. It felt like it wasn't even close.
It really, really didn't. We'll see if BLG can bring it back and maybe send us to a game 3, if RA will continue the steam train all the way through to the W as we go to a quick break. But when we return, pick bans for game 2.